Welcome back, friend. And by the way, good stewardship, right? Some people might be tempted to say, well, you're buying all this stuff, and what if you never use it? Well, first of all, when my car insurance doesn't get used, the end, all right? That money is gone. When my health insurance doesn't get used, goodbye. That money's just gone. With this, however, none of it has to be wasted. I repeat, none of it. We'll eat the pasta. We'll eat the spaghetti sauce. Just keep rotating your stock. This stuff, it's good for 20 years. Let's say that this, 10 years from now, you haven't used it. Your local soup kitchen, your local rescue mission would love to have this to feed to the homeless. Doesn't get wasted. The other item that I showed you, the freeze-dried, or rather the vacuum-sealed grain, we had 7 bags of grain go bad because we didn't have it in a protected bucket, all right? The mice got to it. 50 pounds a bag, 7 bags. You better believe I was crestfallen. We paid about $23, $24 a bag. A local farmer gave us $20 a bag for it for his chickens. Fed it to the chickens. Hogs, chickens, there's farm animals that'll eat this stuff. It doesn't have to be wasted. Think about that. All right, let's continue on with what we're talking about. Okay, these are these are dehydrated apples, all right? So you get an apple, you peel it, and then run it through a tool that is made to put them into thin slices. So after they're thin sliced, you put them in a dehydrator. Now, the dehydrator you're seeing here, I think, is the Excalibur. One thing you need to know, by the way, about dehydrators, which is really important, some dehydrators can only do fruits and vegetables. Some can do meat. So if you're a fan of different jerkies, beef jerky, goose jerky, any number of meats that you can dehydrate, you have to make sure that the dehydrator that you purchase gets the item to a hot enough temperature to make it safe, the meat safe for human consumption, because there are different temperatures when it comes to fruit. All right, so you've dehydrated your apples. This here jar is what these here apples came out of. This delightful machine is made to suck the air out of this. So you've put in your dehydrated apples in here. You put in one of these little things they're like you have in your vitamins, keep the moisture out of your vitamin bottle. You put it in, put this on, turn it on. It'll suck the oxygen out. It'll seal that little metal lid. And then voila, you have a jar of dehydrated apples. Apples are a great source of nutrition. They taste delicious, by the way. These things are really good. This handy dandy item. This is a grinder for different wheats, oats, grains. What's the name of that cereal that we were talking about off camera? Grape nuts. You could put different grains in this and grind it, and it'll come out like one of the heartier cereals that you can eat. Okay, you're not going to chew on raw wheat berries, but if you put them through this, then it would be like grape nuts, and you could do it. These are not expensive, people, and while some of your family or friends might think that you were crazy for doing it, they'll be awfully happy if you're like Gideon. I'll tell you this before we go. I got to take a break in a second. When the Midianites invaded Israel, if you look at Judges chapter 6, it says that the people of Israel turned their backs on God, and God was upset with them. So he handed them over to the Midianites. The Midianites would come in every year and steal the harvest. They would take animals, and people were starving to death. But Gideon was smart enough to figure out a way to smuggle and hide wheat, and then he was threshing the wheat in a wine press, okay, which would have been down below the surface to keep it hidden from the Midianites. That's the one that God picked to fight the Midianites, Gideon. He was thinking of his family, right? And I'll bet that if he had been threshing wheat in a wine press, which is very unorthodox, because you're throwing up the wheat and all the chaff's coming down on you and sticking to your body, I'm sure that his family would have mocked him. But you know what? They weren't mocking him when they were eating bread because of his ingenuity and his foresight. You might be like Joseph, who saves the day someday, like he did in Egypt. I got to take a break. I'll be right back.